Hey Ratbags, it's Jade today giving you 10 big mistakes I made in Avowed, or 10 big tips you need to know, whatever way you want to look at it. Slightly more advanced maybe, or going over a bit more detail about some I've given you in other videos, and I have done a bunch of guides, so make sure you're checking them all out if you find this one useful. So yeah, let's get into it. You've got regular armor and you've got unique armor. Try not to upgrade too much your regular. I've concluded this in my Wish I Knew tips video, where it's pretty important not to make this mistake. And for obvious reasons that you will surely have worked out, regular armor doesn't have the legendary upgrade. You can upgrade normal armor to superb, but any legendary chest pieces can go up to the legendary, giving you around another 24 additional damage reduction. Eventually. Now I'm not saying never go ahead and upgrade armor. Sure, if you're coming across some bosses and you haven't found one of the unique sets that fits your playstyle, then you're going to want something or just utilize something to maybe get it to where you need to be. But there are so many different armor sets to pick up. In the first stages you will be finding lots of common and fine, and I would say yeah, never really try and upgrade any common. Just work on your weapons at best and invest in a lot of healing potions and healing foods. Like upgrade a couple times in the different tiers in common, but never upgrade just a regular piece of armor to maybe fine. And you're like, why not? We got plenty of resources. I've been finding loads of this Parisian ladder and others. Well, it is a case of this stuff actually running out quite quickly. It only takes a couple of armor sets to be upgraded before suddenly you're running out. At least till you get to the next zone, when you find certain resources, you can actually break down some of the more advanced stuff and make it into the early stuff that you might need if you do want to level up some of your early gear or new gear that you find. There's at least 4 unique sets in the base game that you'll find in Dawnshore, plus a few additional armor pieces that you can mix in and out. And it's roughly the same as you go to each new zone, 4 to 5, usually with a focus on one, either light, medium or heavy in each. And to reiterate again, you've worked this out I'm sure, you get the bonus additional buffs on the unique armor sets which you don't get on any of the other chest pieces. You do find unique buffs and bonuses on leg pieces and gauntlets, but not the chest ones. And obviously on unique gauntlets and arm pieces you get 2 buffs, so it's always worth holding out and looking for a unique set of them as well. There's no armor bonus if you're wearing all the same pieces though, so go mad and mix and match if you think it's going to fit your playstyle more. The one exception to this could be scale armor or padded armor though. You won't find necessarily any unique gear in these armor sets until a bit later, and did you know there are actually 4 light armor sets, 3 medium and 2 heavy? That's if they're not unique, that's how many different ones there are. But padded has only a 10% minus stamina reduction, and the max essence does get increased to 20%. So whether it's unique or not, it makes the padded version maybe some of the best if you're really using a lot of blows, maybe daggers, fast moving weapons that consume so much of your stamina. For sure that max essence drop does mean that maybe you don't want to use it if you're using wands, but yeah, for anything else I think it's pretty good. And for a similar reason, scale armor is pretty good as well, because again it's got only a 25 minus max stamina penalty, and then it does increase the amount of essence you'll use. But of course it's going to be medium armor, giving you a lot more protection anyway. These might be the only little small things you might want to consider if you're going to be upgrading or investing some of your resources into different armor sets. And it just so happens I have done early game guide showing you where to find every unique armor set in the Dawnshore, and the next one for the Emerald Stairs is coming out pretty soon. Don't skip on meals. You might have been accumulating health potions and essence potions left, right and centre, and maybe you've made yourself a bunch of foods that are going to help regen your essence and your healing. But I recently did a guide taking a look at all the abilities, and I kind of wish I really focused a little bit more on the benefits of one particular. Make sure you check out the survivalist skill in the range class. At level 1 it's going to pretty much give you 20% more healing as well as essence and various effects from any food that you eat. Which at first glance I was just like, meh, that's not the biggest deal, I'll spend my points elsewhere. But rank 2 and rank 3 unlock more advanced recipes, and these can be great as soon as you're starting to set foot, especially in the second area of the Emerald Stairs. On a rough balance, any meats that you find will generally just give you lots of healing properties. Any pulses or grains can help with essence, and then you've got various different really maybe hard to get resources that will then give you more attribute points or more buffs to damage or damage reduction. And this is something that I just didn't do. I was making tons of really just regening health and maybe not keeping certain ingredients so that I could go ahead and make more of these advanced meals. And I didn't even realise some of these advanced meals were pretty OP and so definitely were worth investing in by sinking at least 2 points into the survivalist ability. Most RPGs are like this. You can eat a lot of foods and get prepared for a battle or whatever it is you're going to do, and then that will give you certain buffs. But I definitely regret not paying full attention to all the kind of recipes I might be able to unlock and craft from the foods. So yeah, don't skip on foods, gather as much of the resources you can to make them, and especially look out for fish as well, as they can give some really great buffs. The only thing you've got to be careful of is some of these advanced recipes do require either health potions or essence potions, so you can quickly run out if you're over making too many foods. So it's a bit of a balance there. You can absolutely get some major buffs like this one, the black broth, giving 9% critical hit chance, 50% extra critical hit damage, plus a bunch more. You don't really want to run out of essence potions halfway through a fight because you've just munched and made all these foods. But yeah, I definitely feel like it's a mistake not to be cooking up and getting the abilities up to level 2 to make some of these. Quick and easy one now, but please, for the love of gods, make sure you go ahead and adjust the UI setting that shows some of the god totem pieces on your minimap. I found around 4 of these without really having to try too hard amongst my travels just exploring, and it might be the same for you. But by default, it shows a lot of other stuff on your minimap compass, foods, dead bodies, but it doesn't show the god totem pieces. They'll pop up as a little orange little symbol on your minimap, so definitely have them because they can give you some great buffs. Somewhat tied to this though is you need the base plate, and I spent ages looking for all the different parts before realising I could actually have some of these buffs active as long as I find the base plate first. So if you go to your map and you see anything that says Godless Ruins or any kind of temple, go and check it out. In Dawnshore you've got the Woedica Shrine, and here in Shatterscarp you've got this one too. These will usually have the base plates that you need, so this should be the first thing you do. Go and grab that base, and then hopefully as you progress and find more of the pieces, you'll get the benefits of them straight away. Use your companion and your god powers more regularly. It's almost easy to forget about them, because as you find memories, there's usually one scattered in each region, they can give you buffs to your health and healing. But you do have 2 active abilities on top of your stealth kill godlike power. You can use the summon allies to heal them and do damage in the wave against certain creatures, and then likewise you've got your Thorns attack too. They've both got cooldowns, but the Thorns one is only 30 seconds and it can do quite a lot of damage. Maybe not necessarily putting them onto your powers wheel, but don't forget that is something you can do. You can change actually which buttons are you using on your D-pad to use for either your potions or some of your spells or abilities. By far out of the companions, my favourite is Giatta, and she's just got so many different healing buffs and stuff she can do for you. You'll get a very short boost to some of your attacks, but the actual clarification spell or the purification spell and the barrier I think are really good. In general, your companions are a bit stingy in using their own powers. They don't go and activate them the minute the timer goes down, so you want to be checking pretty much throughout a fight to see if you can utilise them more. So no spoilers, but I definitely think it's worth pointing out something for the second zone that you get to, Emerald Stairs. You'll have a major quest at the Naku Tezet Grounds or Temple, effectively a chance to go and power up a large one of the Ardor Crystals. I don't think the game does an amazing job of warning you enough that after this event, some of the side quests that you might have been picked up from the actual major town won't necessarily be available, or they will be pretty much done. It is part of the main story, so you can't really go wrong or miss it. It definitely gets rid of at least one of the bounties that you're meant to hand in, although you can finish off the rest. And at least 2 or 3 other side quests that you might not be able to get the rewards for, although I can't guarantee that because I carried on with my save, I didn't reload. And it does lead me on to my next thing, which is to make sure you save often. Once I'd gone into this place to finish off this part of the story or game, when I actually tried reloading, the nearest save point was like 2 hours beforehand. Hence why I didn't bother reloading, because I couldn't live with having to do all that again. The autosaves do remember what you're doing and stuff, but yeah, at this point it just totally missed that, and I had a lot of backtracking to do if I really wanted to change things. I'm sure there's going to be other moments like that throughout the rest of the game. I'm still yet to finish off the last zone. And I do know that some choices you make will result in different endings. But for sure, I wish I knew that some of the side quests wouldn't be able to be completed at this point, which is kind of mid-game. Don't dismantle anything other than common items. You don't really get a lot of resources back, especially when it comes to the more advanced tiered gear. So it becomes much better to go ahead and sell some of that stuff. And don't forget, there's no real penalty on becoming over encumbered. You can send stuff back to your stash from wherever you are. Then just pick somewhere close to a trader and go and sell any of the stuff eventually. And for sure, yes, if it's a common piece of armor or common weapon you're not going to be using, go ahead and dismantle it to get some early game resources. You can get softwood from some of the ones that you might not like. Plenty of the leather or hide that you need for early game robes and stuff as well by dismantling them. And you get iron chunks as well through dismantling some of the weapons and some of the heavy metal armors. These aren't worth selling because you only get about anywhere between 10 and maybe 40 gold for some of them. But as soon as you get some of the fine stuff, that increases massively, and you're looking at getting maybe anywhere up to 700 gold for maybe one fine weapon that you're not going to use. By the time you do get to that third zone, you're looking at certain weapons costing upward to 27,000 gold, and this is why it's important not to waste too much money also respecking. That also becomes more expensive as you progress. So you're in a bit of a weird position. At the early stages, you're just gathering as much loot as possible. You're looking to dismantle tons of weapons and gear. But then you do want to make sure you're accruing as much gold as you can as well, as it's definitely worth buying some of the stuff. And goes without saying, make sure you're not missing up the opportunity to buy some of the resources you'll need, especially things like the Ardor. That was something I was always running out of, and yes, you might get one piece maybe if you go and dismantle something pretty special that's got that as its crafting component, but you don't get all of it. It's definitely easier to sell the items and buy it from traders, which again will restock after a while. Traders, I do believe though, don't mess around with some of the special unique gear. They may change some of the other stuff, but they'll always have that unique gear if it's listed there. Do not miss out on bounties. They often are really close to unique weapons and pieces of armor. You get 500 gold for completing the early stage ones, and then that increases with each zone that you visit. Hand in all the bounties completed, and you'll also usually get some sort of special reward, some sort of necklace or something from each of the bounty traders. Or in this case, in the Emerald Stairs, a pretty unique shield. At least that's one good thing. If you do happen to go ahead and miss out on one of the bounty missions because it failed, you still get the rewards from completing the rest of them. They can be a challenge for sure, as they normally are a little bit higher than you, and I don't really want to repeat myself with my abilities because I've got a separate video for it, but there's definitely a few of them that you should unlock first that will help out, especially when it comes to bounties. Shadowing Beyond is a great ability for any kind of class, as it allows you to go invisible, creep up on an enemy and get in a really good stealth attack. I was so impressed by the magic usage in the early stages. I almost exclusively used that kind of stuff and put all my points into the mage abilities, but I really wish I'd branched out a little bit. There's nothing wrong in mixing and matching, grabbing some of the abilities from the fighter and ranger class. It is a level 5 ability, so take a couple of hours at least to get there. But it's so good. You won't necessarily kill a bounty outright, but by getting a good chunk of health, it's definitely going to help. There is some argument you should clear out all the rest of the minions first whenever you come up against a bounty or just a large elite enemy amongst others, but they often are the most powerful, so I think it's worth trying to take them out. Something else when I was utilising magic that I never realised enough was how important it is to unlock more abilities or stuff that does stun damage. The higher that you can do stun damage, the more it fills up the yellow bar. So this basically means use power shots a lot more. Whether it's a gun, a bow, a melee weapon, check your abilities and look again, especially with some of the other classes, as well as foods and stuff that you can use to see if anything can build up that kind of hit. Big heavy weapons tend to do that, and that's something I kind of wish I'd messed around with a bit more. As I said, I was loving the magic, but absolutely, then I moved on to some of the daggers and that was cool, but I feel like maybe I should have paid a bit more attention to some of the heavier stuff. But yeah, it's a bit basic, but check your armour and gear. Is there any good actual stun stats on it? And in that respect, be careful about switching too many to different targets. You really want to focus a lot on one, hence why that can be that advice to take care of all the minions and then focus on the main elite last. But yeah, don't get too distracted by multiple enemies. Try and take on one enemy at a time to build up that stun meter, because it does rapidly decrease, and hopefully get a bit of a quicker kill. And that's pretty much it for this little video. 8 big, concise, I would say, mistakes that I made, or tips that you should know, filled with a few small little sub ones. If you like this and you want to go and check out the rest of my guides, you should go and do so. I've done some, like I said, on abilities, on lots of the different starter gear that you can get the best uniques in Dawnshaw, plus how to find all of the special god totems, as well as complete all the bounties. And I've got lots more incoming. I'm heavily editing all of the Emerald Stair content I've done now. And if you want to see me play the game, I'm doing a Let's Play on my other channel, Jade PG Crafted. You can check out at least 7 to 8 episodes that have gone live over the last week or so there too. Thanks a lot for watching. Let me know of any big mistake you had in the game, and I'll see you rat bags later.